Welcome back to Cool Club's headquarters here in Scottsdale. Today we got some cool stuff coming up. We've got Rusty Estes. We also joined with Mark Timms, our CEO and founder of Cool Clubs. Today we really want to show off the iron line, some really special technology. If you want to start with the CO1, I think that's got the coolest story.
So as far as the product line that we have with PROTOCCONCEPT, we've got 4 models, starting with a muscle back with our C01. C01.5, which is our newest model, which will be launching this year. And then you move into the original profile, which was the C03. We now are replacing that with the C03.5. And then we have the C05 and the C07.
Okay. And from what I can understand, it's a very, very easy set to blend through. You've created the lofts, the shapes, the launch characteristics, all so you can flow through combos.
Correct. As far as going from a muscle back golf club to a game improvement golf club, the blend is very, very transitional. It's very clean. Utilizing, essentially going through and measuring CGs and getting the performance benefits with the same essentially profile has been a big hit for us with this iron.
Can you touch on the technology in the ceramic that's inside of this blade here?
It's all about CG. It's managing CG and positioning CG in a manner with the modern golf ball to perform to the standards that we need it to perform to now.
So Mark, maybe you can show everyone a little bit about the inside of the head. I know you've got a piece over there too.
We got one here, right? So this is the head. It kind of looks like a blade, traditional looking shape. Obviously, super nice thin top line and stuff. Traditional looking club for the most part. But what they've done is, they forged this way, and I can show some pictures of this. Forged into its ceramic in the center. So if you cut away the center, it's not actually solid metal all the way through. It's got the ceramic core, which I assume is lighter than the rest of the metal around it. So basically, it's a cavity back. There's a cavity in there because the weight's more around the perimeter. So although it looks like a blade, it probably has some properties more like a cavity back iron. Is that right?
Correct.
It throws that CG up a little bit, and I guess everyone's like, "Oh well, there's a bunch of this on the market right now." I don't think they understand.
They're a little different, right? So most of the hollow clubs we're talking out there, and obviously the TaylorMade's 790s, and PXG was probably the first one. It's been around forever doing that by injecting different materials inside to help with the sound. You can make a hollow golf club, but then it sounds like I think Ping at one point told me, talking about square drivers, looks like a bell, sounds like a bell. So the problem with making it totally hollow is it sounds horrible, but. So they're injecting different types of foam, and this is a little different. This is actually, ceramic material, is that right? And it's actually forged into it, so it's part of the bullet that goes into the forging to start with. So totally different way of manufacture it, and a totally different feel, I'm assuming, right?
It is, yes.
And it's not just any old forging. I think anyone who's into golf clubs, into forging, will know who Endo is. These are Endo Forged.
Yeah, Endo's a Japanese company that obviously makes the best forgings. They're kind of known for that. So the tightest tolerances, they use, I think, heavier weights to match materials and stuff than most other companies, and they just do a better job than most.
Yeah, even when you can see this, I know it's been polished a little bit, but you can't see any of the crazy grains or pockets inside of this head.
No, you don't see anything. It's super clean looking on the inside. It's forging obviously makes the material somewhat stronger and theoretically better feel. What does this ceramic center do to the feel? It's got to help, I would think, right?
It's varied from player to player. Again, performance-wise, there's a slightly higher launch, slightly reduction in spin. Some guys say it feels softer. Some guys say it feels they can't tell.
Okay.
But again, as far as manipulating CG, it's definitely got some benefits.
And Rusty, in your role, you're a tour rep. You're kind of chief of R&D. You're all over the map for these guys. So you're seeing it in play a lot.
Correct.
Everything's kind of now tour validation, and you've got some pretty good tour validation on the ladies tour.
Correct.
Lydia Ko's got this in the bag.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that experience, why she plays it, her experience with the products?
Well, Marcy, our CEO, essentially kind of got Lydia involved, and it was at a fitting. She went through a fitting, and this product proved to be the best fit for her.
Yeah.
And obviously last year she had a very, very stellar year. So the product is speaking volumes for her, and again, it's a pretty unique story as far as how she came about it and then where she is today.
And Marcy and I chatted a little bit before. It was driven predominantly on precision of the distance, top to bottom distance. She played a lot of irons that maybe had, that hot spot that jumped a little bit, and it was costing her shots on the course.
Correct.
Yeah, one of the things we do in the robot testing we do stuff is we obviously look at a half inch off center to irons to measure and stuff to how forgiving they are overall. But we do another test which is just quarter inch off center, and what we're really looking for there is consistency of spin and consistency of distance and launch angles and stuff. So that's a really important thing for tour players. They don't so care about how far it goes. They're not looking for the club that goes the longest like most of us are, right. But they're looking for it to be consistent all the time and keeps consistent spin and consistency. When they hit it somewhere close to the middle, which they do most of the time, right. They know exactly what they get what they expect. 100%. Now she's playing actually the two larger ones, right? Or a combination of that. So from the blade that we talked around originally, the next one up is this model here, which is a 03, is that correct?
It's a 3.5. Yes.
3.5, right?
Yep.
This is the new version of the 3, so 3.5, right? So that's this club here. Sorry, put it this way around. And you can see in the back and stuff, it's got a little bit of a channel cavity, cut out in the back here. So a little bit forgiving stuff. Now this does not have the ceramic stuff in the middle, right? Because you're doing it with the channel.
It does not.
Right. But again, traditional look. Really, thin top line and stuff. Really good looking club. But the one she's playing is the real more cavity backed one, right? So that's these two irons. The first one is was 05, you said, no 07?
C05, yes.
05, right? And that's this, traditional looking club, but it's like cut out in the back, and it's cut all the way through to the bottom. Does it go all the way to the bottom of this channel in there?
Not quite. The 7 does.
Right. So it goes down quite a ways. And then the 7 it looks almost identical actually. So I could see playing these two sets, and you probably wouldn't even know you had two different sets in the bag, because they look super similar as far as the shape of them, and the back looks very similar, but just the channel cuts all the way to the bottom on the 7, right, and not so much on the 5. So the 7's a little bit more forgiving, obviously. So
slightly higher.
Those long irons. Where's she changing the set? Should she change to the 7 or something? Or
she blends at, I believe it is at 7. Yeah.
Yep. So she plays the 5 through the 7, and then the 6 and 5 in the other one.
Yep.
She doesn't play a 4 iron, right? Or,
she does not.
No. Most ladies on the tour don't, and even some guys on the tour don't have 4 irons in the bag anymore. But that's definitely the trend. But they're super clean looking. I mean, you look at the back of this. I mean, even your logos and stuff in the back are black on black, so it really looks just like a sample of some kind, to be honest with you. So it's really clean looking. I kind of like that.
It's got that
simplicity.
Prototype look about it.
Yeah, it really does. It does have a prototype look to it.
And let's go back to the 3 really quickly, because I know that you had some part to play in the change from the 3 to the 3.5. It was kind of the tour feedback that made you change that design. What kind of things were you hearing out there?
It's got a slightly smaller profile, slightly narrower sole, and then going back into CG measurements. The progression of the CG as far as the ability to launch the longer irons higher and still maintain the penetrating trajectory in the short irons was some things that we had to go through and adjust. Yeah.
So basically what you're doing is you're changing the CG on each, which most companies do these days too. So as it goes through the set, you're moving the CG from relatively a little bit higher in the shorter irons and stuff, to keep the ball penetrating and not ballooning too much. And then as you go to longer irons, help get up in the air, you got the CG lower and lower.
Correct.
As you go through the set, right? So.
And I think these irons, it's like a pure craftsman's set. But one of the things you want to look at is that sole design. I just love that the leading edge has got that kind of bevel on it. I think that's going to be a really good one. It's not often you get to a blade and they're like true butter knives, and then you just plunge them in the ground. Like this has got that little bit of protection, gets through the turf a little quicker, right?
100%.
Really, really nice. I just want to bring up, Jared, if you can, on the screen. We just take a look through the models. I know this is the old number 3 here in the center. This is the one that Mark was just showing. We're just discussing the change. It's going to be the 3.5. But just check out this blade's offset or lack of. It's super traditional, cool style, and it doesn't get crazy through at the top there. So although this is a game improvement iron, it doesn't look like a shovel. It hasn't got a thick top line. It doesn't look a lot different
than even the blade itself, to be honest with you, from the top line. So,
and this is that bounce. You can't really see the leading edge camber here, but you can see as that bounce starts to widen through the sole, the sole shape starts to widen, should I say. As that CG getting dragged lower and further back.
Right.
Really, really cool stuff. And I know you guys are kind of working on a lot of other things in the background. So you and Marcy are kind of doing some grip design stuff.
We are.
We cool to just touch on that for a second?
We can. So we're sitting around having dinner one night and said, what about this idea? What if we do a grip? I was like, I'm good with a grip. I grew up playing heavy corded grips, and essentially the idea of utilizing a different material, a different process, and creating a unique truly innovative design that would kind of cater across the board from what we would traditionally call the velvet users to the corded users.
Right.
Meet in the middle.
Right.
And it's been about a little over a year now.
It's a tough space, like what you just talked about there. Like I'm a cord user. I know Jared, our GM's a cord user.
Correct.
Mark's not, but you struggle with sweat in your hands.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I used to play cords when I lived in Connecticut, obviously, because I hand sweat quite a bit. But here it's not an issue. Obviously, it dries up bone most of the time, so not such a big deal. But I can't play without a glove on because it feels like it's going to slide out of my hands.
But it's that trade-off, right? It's like, do you want to play hard and keep hold of the club, or do you want to have feel and enjoy what you're doing? Like it's a real
some
trade-off.
of those super soft ones, you got to wonder, you talk about torquing a golf shaft, and everyone's trying to, was it 3.5 or 3.2, whatever. You talk about tiny bits. The grip's got a ton of torque in it. So, having a ton of torque and control of a grip, kind of loses some control over it too. So, this is relatively firm. And I guess what you were telling me, Wesley was telling me on this grip, which is different than most, right? Most grips actually have, the holes or the little dots and the feel pieces that you see on this typically are indentations, right? So if you look at velvet or whatever, there's kind of holes in the grip.
Correct.
And that's where you get your traction on it. You guys are doing the opposite way around, more like a tire. So they're actually raised sections in the grip, this diamond part and stuff. So it feels a little more like a cord because you feel the bumps more than you do on a velvet or most standard grips.
Yeah.
So it does feel a little like a cord, even though it's a rubber grip, which is kind of neat.
I don't know, people kind of blow over grips, like how much technology can be in a grip. But, Marcy was saying earlier again, this thing's been CAD 3D designed.
Correct.
So every millimeter of this grip has been hand designed. It's crazy. And Mark, I want to touch on that torque thing. I don't know what you see on tour. Maybe this is a good point because you're going to get higher speed players.
Correct.
When I get guys that are, busting over 105, I start going away from, softer style grips because I'm just not sure what torque does. Have you had any experience with that out there?
In 20 years out there, guys have their feels. They like what they like. When new products do come out, obviously they're the guys that want to test. There's guys that want to see what the new product's like. The torque value, no one's never really tested it.
It's hard to measure, right?
It is, but it's more of is torque soft? Is torque twisty? What are you feeling?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's collecting that information, and at the end of the day, all of our feedback with this product so far has been very, very highly praised.
Do you have any specific players? Is it for the player that sweats in their hands? Is it for the player that wants softer feel? Like, what's your target?
The unique thing about this product is I feel like we can we're really hovering in the middle of the road, so we can kind of go both directions. And we've tested it with heavy corded users, and we tested it with guys that play, a very soft grip.
And there's two models, right?
There are two models, yes.
And it's just the softness of the material that changes?
Correct.
Okay.
Percentages of materials and whatnot.
Yeah. Cool.
We essentially call one firm, one soft.
Okay. So this will probably go out before they're released, or are they on the market?
They're soon to be released.
Okay.
Getting there.
So
We're going to play around with it. I'm going to stick a couple on my wedges and try one on a driver and see what it feels like.
And just give the brand a plug as well. What's
the grip's going to be called DragonSkin.
Okay, awesome. So
that's kind of cool. A little Japanese background. So
so keep an eye out for these two products. I mean, I'm blown away by the iron, especially that blade. I think that technology is crazy. Literally the first thing that's made me kind of say wow in an iron.
Yeah, it's a little different,
time.
right? Yeah, it's definitely not something we've seen before. So
and the grips, like you say, Mark's going to give them a run. So maybe we'll do a follow up at some point.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for taking some time out this week. I know it's a busy week for you.
You got it.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.